'93 Hummer H3. Owner bought this car a couple months ago, and it has close to 200,000 miles, but it's in very, very nice condition. And he experienced a problem where he needs to jump the car to start a couple times a week. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens like once or twice a week. He noticed there was some kind of aftermarket cable for the stereo system. He got that unplugged, and problems still persist. Now I noticed that the cable were kind of messed up there. I'll show you what was on it. These type of battery terminals on it, so I've replaced it, and this looks good now. I put some Loctites here so it's nice and solid. So now we need to figure out, now I checked the starting system, I checked the body, everything checked out okay, and now we need to see if we have a draw. Now when the way that I approach this problem, I would just take the M clamp, one of these. And actually, when he was here, I grabbed this amp clamp. I really like this little unit. You turn it to like 2 amps, and then you go to DC, and then zero it, and then you can put around the. In this case, I can put around both of the ground cables, and there's nothing on it. Okay. Nothing. And so I told him, I said, now I have to record a longer period of time and see if there's some kind of intermittent problem. The problem is here is that in order to record, you got to use an amp clamp, and you got to use this low amp clamp, which jaws are not big enough to reach all the way around both of these cables. Now you can go to positive or negative terminal. The cables doesn't even matter. The positive, they're even bigger, so there's no way that I can actually get my amp clamp around and do any recording. Maybe I could put 2 of them, put one clamp on this cable, one on the other one, but this is always a problem, no matter what you do. Now Pico makes clamp with a bigger jaw, but it's very expensive. And so anyhow, when I approach this problem, I do disconnect the battery. I know that's not the best way to do it, but you've got to do it somehow. And now for this car, I really don't worry too much about it, because he was doing it anyway. He would take the cable off the battery and then put it back in the morning, and there's no problems at all. So anyhow, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the negative clamp off the battery, and I have a adapter that I'm going to put in between the battery and the cable, and this will allow me to do my checks. Now this is the adapter that I just soldered 2 wires here, and you can get these at AutoZone or any other supply store. It's pretty cheap, I think $15 or so. And so a pretty heavy duty wire, and so I'm going to put this clamp over on the battery, and then I'm going to connect the so now you have to kind of turn it around to make it fit. Of course, you want to make sure that you don't touch the positive side. And so this actually fits pretty good. And now I'm going to tighten this clamp, put it down, and then I'm going to tighten this one as well. So at this point, actually, my circuit, my battery is hooked up. And now what I can do, I can lock the car and still have this solid connector here that can support the current, because most likely right now we're drawing probably over 10 amps. And let me get this tightened a little bit better. Hey Nick. Okay, that should be. Now, so basically what I can do with this, I can bridge the ground side of this battery. and I can now, so at this point all of the current is actually going through this heavy plate here, the switch, all right? And now I can lock the car, and at that time the amperage is going to spike. I'm not sure how much, but it's going to be, it could be over 10 amps. You know, the battery, the headlights can flash and all that. So, and so what I want to do is to at this point I have this adapter here, which is a much smaller cable, but I actually put a circuit breaker, 10 amps circuit breaker, and so I'm going to make the loop here, okay, and now I can put my amp clamp around this loop here, basically around this bridge. Get my amp clamp, and I can put it here. Now, before you start recording overnight or for a long period of time, you gotta make sure that the battery in your amp clamp is fully, you know, it's new battery, so the battery don't go bad, and then you're gonna get incorrect readings. And at this point in time, I can get in the car, lock it, and let it sit for, you know, 10-15 minutes for the amperage to drop down. And then I can flip the switch on, and then the rest of the current, all of the current is going to go through this loop here. Now, why do I have the circuit breaker? Well, it could be if something crazy happens, that, you know, I don't know, something crazy like headlights comes on or something that draws a lot of current. If I don't have this circuit protected, I can overload this wire and it can cause a fire. So by having a circuit breaker, it will open this loop, it will stop the current. So once the current goes down, it's gonna close the circuit again, and it's gonna record the draw again. I hope this makes sense. So you got to be able to kind of protect your circuit, because just in case, I mean, that doesn't happen like ever, that you're going to have some draw that drove over 10 amps, but you never know. Some, you know, alarm goes on or something, I don't know. The headlights go crazy, and or maybe even I don't know, maybe windows just go up and down on its own. That happened before, so I'm not sure how much current that can carry, but at that point everything will go through this wire, and it's always good to have your circuit protected. And that's what I'm going to use if I use the end clamp, and then I'm going to use a picoscope or Varus and record my draw, my amperage draw overnight. Now the other option I have is actually Vantage Pro, which I really like a lot, this little machine. There's a lot of options that this offers, and one of the is actually internal amp clamp, amp meter, that you can actually put it in a graph mode. And when this unit has got a black, yellow, green, and blue channel here. All right. So green and yellow are just regular channels for, you know, for your voltage, for your you can use it for the amperage with your amp clamp. I don't know, resistance, all kinds of stuff. Now the blue one is actually internal amp clamp. I'm sorry, internal amp meter. Okay. Now when you turn the unit on, now the reason I like this one is it just gives me a much precise amperage draw, because it's going through the unit. I think this is much better than amp clamp. Now when you go to main menu here, now when it comes to this option, only Vantage Pro, the Vantage Pro and the old Vantage, they have this option. No other, this machine has that option as well. No other Snap-on tools have this option, internal amp meter. Now of course this one is better because I can plug in my AC adapter and keep this machine alive. But the old Vantage Pro, it's the battery powered, and the battery is gonna dead. It's not gonna last as long. So this is perfect. Now when you go to your main menu here, you're gonna go down to graph meter, and then press on that, and then you're gonna go down here. It says amp internal. Okay, this option here. I'm going to go down here. It's going to load. You can see I can actually have two channels. I can have a green channel that I can actually record the voltage, and that the blue channel is my internal amp meter. And you can see here there's a amp meter, and there's a green channel is my voltage scale. Really nice setup. And so what I need to do now, I can just put my machine, use this hook, hook it up here. So we just want to make sure that hood is not going to drop down, and this one is actually working fine. I'm going to leave my unit here, and I'm going to lock the car. You want to put all of the, you know, you kind of to duplicate the problem. You ask the customer owner when does it happen. Then, you know, of course this customer locks the car, so I want to lock the car before I set everything up. Car is locked. And now I'm going to use this same clamp. I'm going to put it around these two cables. I want to make sure that amperage is lower than 10 amps right now before I hook up my amp meter, because this one carries maximum of 10 amps. So the nice thing about this one is also that the internal, the fuse is just a regular automotive fuse, cheap one. That's why I like this unit as well. And so let's go ahead and see if the car go to sleep yet, and what is the current. It's actually already asleep. And I can now, I can safely connect my, I'm going to take this out because I'm going to need this now. I'm not going to use an amp clamp. I'm going to use an amp meter inside the Vantage Pro. I'm going to take two leads and put one here. I'm going to actually make me a little bit better instead of using the, make something better for, but for now, this will do. And now I can open the switch, and then current will go through my Vantage. And I'm going to leave it like this. And right now, actually, I have a 70 milliamp of draw. I'll show you guys. I'm going to mess up my cables. As you can see, I got a 70 milliamps, and I got these little spikes. So most likely this will go to sleep more. Then, if I want to, I can now use my second channel. Now, I'm not using original test leads from a Snap-on. I don't need. I'm just using whatever I want to use. And now I'm going to use one lead. I'm going to put it on back. I'm going to piggyback my ground. I'm going to connect it to a ground. I can use either one of these. Everything is grounded right now. Everything is ground here. So, yeah, I'm just going to go down here at the battery post, and I'm going to get me a clamp. Okay. And let's take another lead. lead and put it in the green channel. So I use the blue, I should switch, it doesn't really matter, and I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to use channel 2 is available for me to record a voltage. Now, as I said, I got my ground piggyback, and I should be able to now connect it to a positive, and it should give me the voltage reading on the channel, on the green channel. And I have 12.5 volts. Nice. And let's see. Okay. All right. And that'll do. So this is my setup, and when I come back in the morning, now I have to also get my AC charger. To be honest with you guys, I've been monitoring this car all day, and nothing happened. I didn't see any draw at all, but I told the owner that it would be good for me to just keep it overnight and just to see, something crazy happen. Now, again, my circuit is protected by internal ammeter. This fuse will blow if something goes over 10 amps. These leads gonna support 10 amp of current if that happens, and I'm okay with that. It would be better probably to put a circuit breaker, but that's fine. And now I've got my charger hooked up, and this will keep, even though this is actually a brand new battery, I got this one not long ago, and I purchased a brand new battery from Snap-on, and it lasts quite a bit of time, but of course for all night it's not going to last that long. Alright, so that's about it. Again, I'm gonna make batteries. I'm probably gonna change these to a banana adapter, but this setup works very well for me, and this will be for now. Just gonna leave it as it is. The clamps will hold to this setup, and we'll come back in the morning and see what's going on. On my tool, as you can see, the channel 2 is set at 20 volts. I'm reading at 12.5 volts. This is my green channel here. This is my battery voltage. And I'm going to go here to a, let's see, a little rusty on this tool, to be honest. There you go. I'm going now to channel 1, which is my, okay, now I can, so 200 milliamps, it's my setup. And that should be enough. If the amperage goes over 200 milliamps, that's the problem. You can see now I'm hovering around 80 milliamps with these little spikes, and we'll see what happens. I'm okay with that. And then now I want to change my time. I'm going to go maximum of 5 minutes. That's going to be a longer time for me to record enough hours, because I'm going to leave it for a good 10 hours or so. And then we'll come back in the morning and see what happened. Right now amperage dropped down to 20 milliamps. Now the car is fully asleep. Right here, it dropped down to 20 milliamps, which is perfect. That'll be it. Now I don't have the external memory card on this Vantage, and I unfortunately cannot record anything, but for me it doesn't really matter. I can see what's going on. I will see it in the morning. It would be nice to be able to record it and to show to the customer, what we have found. But so far everything looks okay, and as I said, all day today I was working on another car, and I had this one hooked up, and it was okay. So I think maybe just the cable were messed up and causing a little bit of issue, but we'll see. And again, I like this setup because this really gives me a precise amperage measurement. I think better than an amp clamp. And all right, and you know, honestly, you know, the question is, do we need a picoscope on that? You know, to be that precise? Not really. I mean, what I worried about, this is going to give me enough information to know if I'm having an intermittent problem or is it a constant draw. So, I mean, I can, you know, this graphic meter is going to do just fine to give me that information that I need. And but I do. It's just kind of cute little unit. I like it. It's expensive. It still holds the value. Surprisingly, this unit is probably 10 years old, but still, you know, they can go up to like $7, $8, even $1,000. They are, you know, $700 to up to $1,000, depends of the how much stuff comes with it. But that's a very unique feature on these Snap-on Vantage. Very, very useful. All right, I'm going to stop talking. We'll see what happens in a moment. Graphic multimeter is still rolling. We can see that the minimum amperage we are on a milliamp scale up to 200 milliamps as we left it last night. So minimum was 15 milliamps, maximum was 122. Now this 122, it is a concern, of course, but I can see right now we have these little spikes here. The battery voltage is still okay, 12.5. And this is where it peaks at 122 milliamps. And let's go ahead and stop this now. Okay, stop recording. Now we can zoom out. And you can see it's like 80 minutes here, and you can see you've got these spikes, but this is probably normal operation of some module that comes. It's always in the same time, and I'm not concerned over that. There's nothing I can do with that anyway. And let's go here. You can scroll through the all of the images and you can see it's the same. This screen is 80 minutes, almost like an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes. As you're scrolling through each of the screens, it's all the same. Now I can, if I want, I can, yeah. I think I can zoom in again, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. I don't want to show this to the customer. But anyhow, I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, there's nothing else I can do here, and that's about it. Unfortunately, I said I can't save it. Let's see here. Let's see if I can. There you go. I can zoom it in. I can just go scroll again. It's interesting. I don't have an option to get my cursors here to measure, you know, time between these two peaks, but that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna let this one go. There is no current draw on this truck at all at this point, and that'll be it. Okay, now the reason when I would, if I would use a current clamp, as I said, I would use my loop that has a circuit breaker, a 10 amp circuit breaker, and you really want to have something to protect your circuit. Like if, for instance, you have a blower motor that comes on during the, you know, at night, or something that draws a lot of current. You know, the blower motor, the cooling fan or something like that, it can draw over 10 amps of current. It's going to overload your wire, and you really need to have some kind of protection. Whether you put a fuse, I do prefer having a circuit breaker, because once that component turns off, it's going to complete the circuit again and do the cycling again. So anyhow, this is my setup. I hope you like it, and this little tutorial on the Vantage Pro as well, how to set up tool and what is capable of doing it, and that's it. Okay guys. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye bye.